Looking forward at CES to talk to our different partners, our advertisers, about the value of contextual metadata that is available for CTV now. The industry has evolved very significantly over the last couple of years, about 5 years, and that has led to this immense availability of data that we feel like hasn't been utilized as well in the advertising industry today. So we're looking forward to having those conversations about how we can help advertisers achieve their goals and how we can help publishers maximize their revenue by leveraging this immense metadata that is available within Gracenote.
Kanishk, Gracenote has long been the backbone of TV and entertainment metadata. How is that foundation evolving to meet the needs of advertisers in CTV these days?
Yeah. So the way Gracenote has operated for the long history of the company is that it has worked with TV providers' operating systems to offer a great consumer experience. So whenever you are looking for a show on any TV, like a Fire TV or Apple TV, you are leveraging, you're seeing Gracenote data at that point. So as from a consumer standpoint, Gracenote is the thing that is powering their experiences on television. So we want to be able to take that experience and make that available to advertisers, because we feel like advertisers at the end of the day are trying to reach the consumer. That is the ultimate goal of everybody that works in advertising. How do you hit the consumer where they are? How do you change their mind? How do you win hearts and minds with advertising? And because we power that consumer experience for the vast majority of consumers watching TV, we believe that data can be immensely helpful for advertisers to reach the right viewers at the right time when the user is ready to interact with their ads.
Kanishk, I wanted to dive into that ability of helping advertisers reach consumers at the right time and right mindset. As viewers navigate this increasingly fragmented world, permanently fragmented media world maybe, and viewers are constantly trying to find the shows, genres, how is Gracenote helping advertisers plan and buy ads with that same level of contextual precision?
Yeah, so one of the key things that Gracenote offers is standardization. And this has been immensely helpful for operating systems. So a good example is when you're looking for The Simpsons on a TV operating system, you don't want 10 different versions of the same episode or the same show. You want one version because you just want to watch The Simpsons as a consumer. Same thing applies from an advertiser standpoint, where you want to be able, that, for example, if you know that your consumers like to watch family-friendly movies, you want to be able to see that across all the different publishers, all the different venues that a user may be able to watch that piece of content. So as we build our platform that helps align that content with advertisers' ads, we are offering that standardizability to not only be able to do it on one publisher, but be able to do it across the board with many different publishers and be able to have the scale that the advertiser wants, the reach as well as the accuracy and transparency that we can provide, because we are the ones, as I said, powering the consumer experience, so the advertiser is able to leverage that standardization across the board and scale because of our data.
Advertisers really felt the sense of signal loss and how it limits people-based targeting. How does metadata fill the gap to deliver relevance and scale, particularly in this privacy-first world?
That's where we kind of started as we started thinking about the ads business within Gracenote, is that the audience-based advertising that exists is great. I think it helps you reach the right people. But one of the core problems that we hear from advertisers is that it's hard to scale exact audience-based targeting, like people that went to your website. You can't necessarily scale that, especially in the television industry, because TV doesn't have a very scaled identity solution available across the board. So this is where metadata comes in, because if you can have an understanding, and this is something that we're helping them build, is of an understanding of these are the types of shows that your consumer watches. These are the types of movies that a consumer watches. Like that type of metadata helps them really reach those consumers without necessarily needing to know exactly who they're watching. So that not only helps them scale, but also helps with the privacy side of things, because you're not directly tracking a user. You are finding what they enjoy and then trying to reach them there. And then with Gracenote, not only do you have an understanding of like the high level like genres and names of the show, we have this immense layer underneath that powers all the content that is available. So you have this metadata, about 40 pieces of metadata for every different piece of content that we have. So the understanding of mood, understanding of like, is it a brand safe thing? Is it violence? Is there political content? All of those things kind of come together to offer that advertiser a privacy safe and still very well scaled solution on television.
So Kanishk, Gracenote works with a range of constituencies from publishers to SSPs and as well as DSPs. How are you working with those partners to standardize metadata so buyers can make apples to apples comparisons across platforms?
Yeah, so that's the beauty of Gracenote. It's like one of the value props that comes from our traditional business of powering operating systems metadata is that every publisher that wants to make their content available on these different operating systems has a Gracenote content ID available. So we have, because of our traditional business, one of the core problems of like, does a piece of content, can you understand a piece of content? That problem is solved because of what Gracenote has been doing for the past few decades. Now the problem that we're trying to solve is the question that you asked, like we're working with the different ad tech constituents to make that data available in as many places as possible. So we're working with SSPs, with DSPs, with agencies to embed our data into their various products. We don't necessarily want to create a brand new platform, but we are working with the existing platforms. We're trying to meet our advertisers where they already are. So if you're buying through primarily through a DSP, we have our data available to there. If you're trying to use curation layers at the SSP, we have our data there available too. We're working with agencies to be in their planning tools. So that's how we're working across the board with all of these different vendors to fit our data into the existing frameworks that advertisers are already using, because our traditional business has solved for the core problem of like, our data is everywhere. Now it's just a matter of pushing it through the different pipes of where the advertisers are and meet them where the demand is. And that's what our primary focus for the last year and will be our continued focus going forward.
Kanishk, you started off talking about what you're looking forward to at CES. I want to look a little bit further ahead and get a sense of how you see AI and predictive content signals enhancing the way advertisers understand and activate around context.
Yeah. I think with AI, things have significantly sort of sped up. It's accelerated in terms of what we can do and how we can make the advertisers' lives easier. So one of the core things that I think from a contextual and Gracenote standpoint is going to play out really well in the next sort of year or so is that, as I mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of metadata that Gracenote just has available that's just sitting there. One of the hard things is to how do you surface that easily? But with all the different sort of AI solutions that are coming up, it is very easy for us to integrate directly into those solutions. So that's sort of how we are viewing it. Like we're building things like MCP servers that can plug into an existing LLM model that an agency or a DSP or SSP has so that it can power that. So when an advertiser goes into an LLM interface and says, I want to target all family-friendly shows that have a Christmas theme in them, we can then easily pull that up and make that available to the advertiser. So one of the real value props I see of AI is helping with our discoverability of our data, because all of these things are changing so quickly. We are able to capitalize on those changes and be able to make our data available in this new fashion, in the new way that AI has developed. So that's why we're working with all the different AI-based advertising solutions. Like pretty much everybody's coming up with them. So we're now working directly with a lot of them to make it available to our advertisers. And because traditional Gracenote business is working with the traditional AI companies like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic to help them make their answers better. So that same technology is now being able to be used here, and it makes the brand's life significantly easier. So a brand can easily, for example, one of the primary use case that we think about is typically when you're running a campaign, you get a brand brief. Now, you can simply upload that brand brief into any LLM, including our own, to say, hey, which types of content should I target? And we can find all the type of content. So if your brand ambassador is a celebrity, we can find every single piece of content that celebrity has ever been in and make sure that you're advertising against that. So those things start to become a lot easier for us with the advent of AI from a discoverability standpoint. The other aspect where AI is really helpful is diving even deeper into the content itself. So now you're able to look at scene level understanding of the piece of content. So you know that the background is pink versus there's trees in there or mountains. And then you start to create this world of like, how do you optimize against that? So, like if you look at the measurement side of things, you can try to figure out, okay, when there were trees in the background, an outdoor brand did really well. So now when you're targeting them, you can find all those outdoor scenes that are in a particular movie or a TV show and be able to target that. So there's many different levers where AI is really helpful, but discoverability and depth of content is where I see it being really valuable in the next sort of coming year.